Over the duration of last year, this company has shown me some watches, whether or not I'm interested in having a closer look. And I've got to be honest, nothing has really caught my attention, until now. You see, the layout and attention to detail and the combination of movement and dial finishing on this piece is a real standout for me. And after having this watch in the steel for a week now, I think the decision to get up close and personal with this watch was the right one. Let's check it out. Now, for those who don't know where the term Dirty Dozen comes from, it was basically a series of 12 watches which were commissioned by the British War Office from 12 iconic Swiss watchmakers back in the day, around 80 years ago. And if you look at the 12 iconic watchmakers who took part, looking at this photo, you can see brands like Omega, Longines, IWC, Lemania, JLC, and you know what, that's pretty cool, because some of these watch brands are not only still here today, but they're massive. And after spending a week or so on the wrist with this watch, I can tell you it's been a delight. But also a slight letdown in one area, and I'm going to share that with you guys. Now, you saw the pop-up. Bracelet has sponsored this video. The watch has been sent out without the need to be returned, so I will of course leave all the appropriate links in the description section for you guys to check them out. And on that note, let's check out the specs. I measure a case diameter of 38mm with a lug-to-lug of 44.7. That case height comes in at 12mm with a lug width of 20. Now, the crown is a 6.9mm screw down crown. The watch offers 100 meters of water resistance, and the weight on the supplied leather strap comes in at exactly 64 grams. Now, the comfort factor of a 38mm watch on an 18cm wrist is a no-brainer. It really has been a comfortable experience all week. That height has been absolutely exceptional, and this leather strap which they've supplied it on, which tapers from 20 to 16, has been again a delight. Now, there's no denying that the dial layout is very attractive. In fact, I'm drawn to dials like this. I really like a sub-dial at 6. You've got a railway track with loom plots at each hour, as well as loomed Arabics. That sub-dial at the 6 with the running seconds has been super smooth, and you've got a decent sword handset again with loom. Also, in keeping with the original designs, you've only got a logo here. That's it. A real nice, clean and simple layout. Now, the crystal of this watch is a dome sapphire crystal, and the originals would have featured something like plexiglass. In fact, the original watches would have come in at around 34mm case diameter. So 80 years ago, that was the norm. But today, with modern watches, a watch between 36 and 40mm is more suitable for field watches. And I think this one coming in at a sweet spot of 38mm is pretty much ideal. Now, speaking of that crystal, spending time with this watch, initially I thought that the printing on the dial, especially the sub-dial, was off or badly applied. It looked like it was uneven, and I thought, gee, what a letdown. However, that's not the case. After closely examining this watch and dial, it's actually the distortion at extreme angles, and that's produced from that dome sapphire crystal. Now, turning the watch over, you'll notice there's a solid case back, and it's got the words Dirty Dozen and www. That's not the World Wide Web. That stands for wristwatch waterproof, because 80 years ago when these were first made, the brief was simple. The watches needed to be waterproof, shockproof, they needed to offer superior legibility, as well as being regulated to chronometer spec. Speaking of regulation, that movement behind that caseback is a Swiss-made Langeron L24. It's basically a clone of an ETA 2824. It's an automatic, it runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour. You've got hand winding, you've got hacking, as you can see. However, that said, there is a ghost state position. So when I pull it out the first time, the watch still moves. Second time, it hacks. So just bear that in mind. And while we're on that crown, the winding experience is actually very nice, and the latch down experience on this particular unit is again very nice. It latches down beautifully. Now, looking closer at the strap of this watch, as you can see, there's good movement in it. It's been extremely comfortable. The stitching is quite clean. You've got quick release spring bars, and even that tang buckle is signed. So the hardware seems to be very nice. My only concern, it is a long strap. I've got an 18cm wrist. I'm on this particular hole here. So for smaller wrists, if you want to get a little bit tighter, maybe you're going to have to punch a few more holes in there. Now let's talk about the loom. The watch features Swiss superluminova, and on initial observation it actually seems to be very bright and very nice. However, that handset doesn't seem to last. And I couldn't understand why, so I got my UV light, I placed it over the watch, and then realised that there's two different types of looms between the handset and everything else. Potentially some combination of C3 everywhere and BGW9 on the handset, something like that. Now you can see the handset doesn't seem to last very long, however, the video doesn't do it justice. It's actually showing it worse off than it really is. And lastly, before we get onto any gripes, the price. The watch comes in at $875 with this leather strap or even nylon straps, and they also supply a bonk clip bracelet, which comes in at $925 all up. Now I've not tried it on this bonk clip, but you get the idea. Personally, I've preferred it on the leather, but even in saying that, being a black dial with clean white Arabics and markers, this thing here is a strap monster. I don't see any reason why you can't place this on anything. It really is nice and clean. And on that note, what are my gripes of this watch? Well, as I mentioned, first and foremost, the loom on that handset, it could have been a little bit better, a little bit longer lasting. But in the watch's defense, it's not as bad as my video makes out, because in real life, it actually does look quite good, but it doesn't last as long as that dial, because that dial is phenomenal. The loom is really good. Second gripe for me is the movement. It seems to be running well, however, this particular one is running at about -8 seconds per day. For something that's meant to be chronometer regulated, it's stable, but it would have been nice to be in the plus range here. Quite an easy fix, can be easily tuned, but it shouldn't be my issue. However, being a watch that was rushed to get out to me, I'm going to forgive it, because sometimes they assemble a watch really fast, do a few shortcuts to get it out to get reviewed. So -8 seconds I can live with. And another gripe is that leather strap. There doesn't seem to be enough holes for smaller wrists, so a 6-inch wrist, 6.5 might not be able to work with this strap. And even if you do punch a few more extra holes into this, that tongue is going to be long, it's going to come all the way around. So just bear that in mind, but being a strap monster, you can really wear this with anything. And lastly, I was going to mention the price, $875. For me, honestly, it's neither here nor there, because I think the quality is very good, the case finishing's good, the dial seems to be finished on a good level, the winding of that movement has been fantastic, as well as the latch down experience, so the footprint on the wrist has been really comfortable. So I'm actually glad that I got this watch on the channel. Like I mentioned, I really enjoy dial layouts like this. Sub-dial at the 6, nice and simple, extremely clean, easy to read, one of my favourite looking dials of old school. So hit me up in the comments, guys, let me know what you think of this watch. The Dirty Dozen, harkening back to 80 odd years ago, where brands like Omega, IWC, Longines had provided watches for the British Army. I've enjoyed it, I've liked it, a few little quirks here and there. Overall, a very nostalgic experience on the wrist. And speaking of the launch, there's actually 3 different colorways. Look on their website, you'll see there's a couple of different finishes. For me personally, I love the black dial with a clean white loom. I think it's the purest one. And on the wrist, it's not disappointed. Thanks for watching. Be well, be safe. Dodge those bullets that are out there. Stay in the trenches, and we'll see you in the next one.